What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Into the Bengal-Verse podcast. It's your boy, Mario Malave here, bringing you an in-depth look of your Cincinnati Bengals. If you are new here, please leave a like and subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back. I appreciate the support as always. You can find me on social media platforms like Twitter at Bengal-Verse. You can find my Instagram at Into the Bengal-Verse, and then obviously you're watching me here. So, I'm here rocking my boy Jamar Chase, the new dubbed Raven Killer. We are covering the Bengals 41-17 win in Baltimore. Let me say that again. We are covering the Cincinnati Bengals 41-17 victory in Baltimore, the most points the Bengals have ever scored in Baltimore. So there are so many places I can pick up and just run with in terms of this game, whether it's storylines, whether it's the stats. All I gotta say is that victory was so satisfying and so tremendous, and I just want the fans to understand, we're in a place, appreciate this victory, talk your trash, but now that we're here, it's time to settle down. Like me, I understand. I was rooting my butt off. I was talking so much trash to my friends and a bunch of people. But you know what? For me personally, it's time for me to settle down. Now it's time to take care of business whenever we play against teams if we're a top 10 team, which I believe we are, and I think everybody thinks we are now. So I just want to talk about the storyline that was from so long ago. And yes, it's great that everybody's talking about the team now. It really is. I mean, it's weird to Bengals fans, I know that, and our community, because we've always been so tight-knit together, and nobody ever talks about us, so it feels even more special when we have this community and we know what we're about and nobody else does. And now that everybody's starting to talk about us, it's kind of weird in the sense where everyone's like, the Bengals, yeah, they're good, and now they're hopping on the bandwagon. Whereas before the draft, they were saying, if you draft a receiver like this guy right here, the Bengals, I literally have a quote here, Cincinnati is where QBs go to die. That's what one person said. And another said, Bengals should be kicked out of the NFL if they draft a receiver. Those are people who are in ESPN, Sports Center, like those big brand companies. Those people, like the experts, were saying stuff like that. Yes, the O-line wasn't good last year. Yes, Burrow, he tore his ACL in a very freak injury play, and he was getting hit a lot. But the way we knew that we were going to sign people, make moves in the draft, we put ourselves in a position where we can take Jamar, and look how that's worked out. He's not only made this offense better, he's made the entire team better. And he's clearly a generational, knock on wood, but he looks like a generational receiver. Clearly. You clearly see the path. You clearly see what he's doing. We're going to get into that. But look how much better this team is playing now that we have Jamar. So for all the naysayers who didn't think we should have taken Jamar, I think everyone's quiet now. I think the whole preseason drop issue, everyone's quiet about that now. Jamar has established himself probably right now as a top 10 receiver. That's how he looks, like a top 10 receiver right now. I think that's fair to say. I mean, we still have plenty ways left to go, but right now he's the most explosive player in this league, like receiver, clearly. Has the most deep touchdowns, most deep yards, most yak, I believe. He's absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So, there was that. We are now officially, I believe, 7th in most power rankings. So you got teams like Packers, Bills, not the Chargers. Packers, Bills, Bucks, Rams, Cowboys, and I forget the other team. Honestly doesn't matter. But it's cool. Top 10. Looking to get better and better each week. Oh yeah, and Cardinals. Looking to get better and better each week, week in and week out. Burrow is officially a top 10 quarterback. To me, he always was. And I think everyone saw that now. I know people who always thought Baker was better. Baker, well, no. Just no. Like that's all I gotta say about that. Jamar's an alien. Yep. I'm gonna be covering him. We're gonna talk about the speed of the defense. We're gonna be talking about the run game, CJ Uzama's play. We're gonna talk about how well this defensive line is balled and how well the offensive line is balled. So let's get into the statistics here. Joe Burrow, 23 of 38, 416 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Joe had a really, really good game. Like if you didn't see the game, go back and watch the highlights. I don't think any of you who are not Bengals fans that are watching, but if you're not, or even if you are, hopefully most of my audience are Bengals fans. So you should know like this game had a weird atmospheric feel to it. Like you knew this game had a lot of importance to it, and when. Like, for me, I personally said it, like, I was a little cautious optimistic, but, like, the whole day I was nervous leading into the game. Like, a good nervous, like, butterflies, like, like, you know what I mean? Like, it honestly kind of felt like a playoff game, like, before going into the game. And man, when the offense first started, and Burrow's first play, I believe, was a play-action pass, and a linebacker just absolutely shot through the offensive line, and Burrow had to roll out. I mean, he avoided the sack, but just to see that, it was like, dude, really, like, already, like, same thing as last year, seriously? That's kind of how I felt at first, but, yes, the Ravens smacked the Chargers, yes, they made Herbert look lost, but I know for a fact Burrow had this game circled on his calendar since the last time they played, because not only was he made a fool, he made so many mistakes. He fumbled the ball. He let Patrick Queen beat him, and I'm sure that he was livid about that. And all offseason, he's talked about how he's getting better at certain things. He's one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback against the blitz this year. Point blank, period. When we played the Jaguars and they tried to cover zero him, he made the audible at the line of scrimmage to CJ Uzama to put the team in position, hit a game-winning field goal, and after that game, the Jaguars game, in the press conference, he said, I know their defensive coordinator has a Baltimore background, and I know that I had to get better against the blitz and against defenses like that. So, honestly, hats off to Joe. I understand he's the first pick and everything, but like as a regular person who's not in the NFL or like a quarterback with or has QB knowledge or of coverages, to see the Ravens whenever they had line up in those exotic fronts, hats off to the coaching staff, hats off to Burrow for being able to make the right checks, make the right reads, pick up the right people to know where you can go and shouldn't go. It's honestly impressive because 8 guys are coming, but they'll leave 3, drop 5. Like there's so many different things or ways that the Ravens can blitz. It's very impressive. But when you got a quarterback like Joe Burrow, and none of that matters. None. Especially when he's been watching the crap out of your film, and they're going to make adjustments, and I'm sure the Bengals will be ready for either or the next time they play. Joe Burrow's probably going to win the FedEx Air Player of the Week. He has to. I mean, Matt Stafford had a day, but against his former team, the Lions, and Aaron Rodgers had a day against Washington. Like, we played against the Ravens, and they just smacked Herbert, who everyone's saying better than Burrow, this and that. Who cares about any of that? Joe Burrow absolutely dissected them and smacked them around. So he's probably going to win that award. Joe Mixon and Pirine, they both had, they got some love in the end zone later in the game, which we'll get to. And then same with the receivers. Jamar Chase. That man is cold. Jamar Chase is a bad dude. We've seen Ocho. We've seen AJ. I don't think we've seen anything like Jamar. He is an absolute freak. Like, seriously, if I'll say this, if none of the top teams with draft picks, like the Jaguars or Jets or whoever, if they didn't need a quarterback and Jamar Chase played last year, it's looking like he would have been a top 3, first overall pick. I think he could have been. It's an absolute privilege that we have this guy. He's an absolute freak. This is a guy who dominated the SEC as a 19-year-old. Jamar's practically my age. I'm 20. Jamar's 21, And he's out here making the NFL look like it's child's play. Jamar Chase had 8 catches for 201 yards, averaging 25.1 yards and 1 touchdown on Marlon Humphrey. He had 160 yards on Humphrey alone, and the rest on the rest of Baltimore's defense. And before anyone says, oh, but he broke the tackles, poor tackling by the Ravens, Jamar's been doing this all year so far. Jamar Chase is an absolute freak. I'm probably going to post a clip on my Instagram because it was so symbolic. Jamar's touchdown, the deep touchdown that he broke open to break this game open, when he scored that touchdown and he spun out of that tackle and ran, there was 2 touchdowns that reminded me of. It was literally 2 worlds colliding. It was A.J. Green's absolutely insane touchdown deep down the left side, or not down the left sideline, but on the left side of the field, where he catches it from Dalton in that really close Baltimore game when Steve Smith was also going off, I believe. And A.J. catches it, and then A.J. catches it accidentally, turns around, jumps over but he steps over the fender and then turns around and runs back into the end zone, and the safety chasing him for an 80-yard touchdown. That was absolutely nuts. It's an iconic play. If you're a Bengals fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then the Lamar touchdown where he spins and Kevin Harlan's going, he's Houdini, and it was in Lamar's MVP run, and Lamar was wearing the shades on the sideline just chilling, but the way he spun out of those defenders and ran down the side, the touchdown while we were getting our asses kicked. And you see Jamar do this to Baltimore, and you can hear a freaking pin drop. The audience knew, or the crowd knew, sheesh, this team. You just knew. When Jamar made that touchdown, it was a statement saying that, that was the we're here moment. Just like Lamar's MVP moment, I'm that guy. Just like when A.J. Green had that touchdown to, when we were always either splitting or sweeping Baltimore. I don't think Baltimore's a team to fear anymore. As great as they are, as really good of a team as they are, I think that's a team from now on. I'm calling it now. We're either going to split with them from now on, or we sweep. Now that we have Burrow healthy, now that we have a guy like Jamar, and the way this offense is rolling, the way how good this defense is played, and how well this team is, Baltimore, I'm safe to say, I'm here to say, that is a team we will always either split or sweep with. We are back to that. Back to the regular world. We were up high. We went down below the line, and we scratched our way back. We're back, people. We're back. Yeah. So Jamar Chase, man, the dude, and he had concerns coming into the NFL where supposedly he would give up his chest too much and lose leverage. He is so strong off the line of scrimmage and so fast. I want to see this guy against Jalen Ramsey, if I'm being honest, or other elite corners, because that was Marlon Humphrey, all-pro corner, and he did that to him. Absolutely ridiculous. C.J. Uzomah also got some love on National Tight Ends Day. He got 2 touchdowns. We're going to talk about that. So, you know what, actually, let me talk about the receivers gradually, because let's talk about the first drive of this game. So, Burrow, like I said, evades the sack. I forget if he completed it or was incomplete or not, but regardless, so the beginning of the game was really slow. Jamar Chase, we went for it on 4th and 1 at some point in the first quarter, and Jamar had a beautiful curl route to beat, I believe it was Tony Jefferson, to advance the ball. And there was a point where we were on, the 40, going to score, and we ended up punting. And it was weird that we did that, given we have Evan McPherson. And then the Ravens did that too. So it must have been something going on with the wind to lead those teams to punt. I believe the Ravens did it twice compared to us doing it once. So that was a little weird with how the coaches were seeing the field there, or calling it. And yeah, just something clicked with this team. So it was 3-3, and the formations that we were running on offense, I think we can all say, were absolutely beautiful to watch. It was so exotic. We had the 5-man front. We'd have CJ and Mixon in the backfield, and then we'd have the 2 receivers. It was I can't even explain it. It was like poetry watching how the offense was moving around. We'd have CJ in the backfield, motion him out, bring him back in. Motion Boyd or Higgins across the line of scrimmage. It was absolutely nuts, the moving that was going on in the offensive line. And the communication versus their defense and our offense, where we would make checks, they'd make checks, and we would check back. Like, it was nuts. And Burrow, we had I believe it was like a 7-man front, like a 7-man formation that we came out in. And Burrow saw something he liked, and he called an audible. And when he hiked it, C.J. Uzomah went deep down the middle against Marlon Humphrey. He beat him off the press. And not only did he catch it, stiff arms Humphrey, gets him off of him, gets in the touchdown. That's the first touchdown of the game. How you doing? Keep it moving. Then Baltimore. So that's when we took the momentum, and it was like, oh my God, like we can score on these guys. Like, and that was like, it's been pretty sure over a year since we've scored a touchdown on them. So that was definitely satisfying and gratifying to watch. So then Baltimore was like, okay. So then, and our defense is playing very well, keep in mind. Their offense started getting it going a little bit. Mark Andrews started getting some pretty big catches, and then eventually ended up with Devontae Freeman scoring a touchdown, and that was tied 10-10. So once that happened, I call it the Morrison minutes. Thanks to Jay Morrison, he's a writer of the Athletic, I believe. I listened to him and Paul Dehner Jr. If you're a diehard Bengals fans, you know who those writers are. They're reporters for the Bengals and journalists for the Bengals. They're absolutely fantastic. It's called the Morrison minutes because Jay Morrison they always used to talk about, how whenever there was 2 minutes left, the Bengals were the ones on the opposite spectrum of always getting scored on with 2 minutes left in the half, and that would always kill us pretty much for the rest of the game. Like that 2-minute drill, we would always be in that back end. Like, we would never be the ones on offense. So far, I think every game we've always had the ball in that 2-minute drill before the half, and we've always scored, I think, honestly. And we lost the coin toss, by the way, which sucks. So that was the streak, the 11-game coin toss streak, which was absolutely nuts. The fact that we even had that. So yeah, that ended. So Baltimore, they elected to kick off to us first. And when we had the ball in that 2-minute drill before the half, Jamar only had, I believe, 1 catch in the day. And this dude just starts. He caught this ball where he beat Marlon Humphrey on an in route, catches it, and then just outruns every Baltimore defender the width of the field, and then gets out of bounds. And then I believe we made a few more plays, and then Evan McPherson kicks a field goal, 13-10 at the half. So it's a very close game. I think everyone knew we have a chance to win this game. And coming out the half, Baltimore had the ball, and Lamar let him down, and he hit a beautiful rainbow bomb to Marquise Brown. It was honestly more impressive. The catch was more impressive than the throw, as great as the throw was, because Marquise Brown barely scraped his toe in the end zone. And Sheeta Beawuzie was on him the whole game, I believe, and Sheeta had a great game. That was just a great throw, and probably a little bit of miscommunication, unless he was just manned up. It doesn't really matter regardless. It happens. The defense is going to get scored on, as great as they're playing. And when they scored that, we're like, damn, this could be a defining moment. Are we going to cave in here to Baltimore? Are they ready? They're at home. They have the advantage now. What's going on? And just all of a sudden, we get the ball and start driving, and Burrow was just dissecting them like a freaking surgeon. Just one after another after another. And all of a sudden, Burrow sees something he likes. And so there's a Ravens fan, Sonny from AFC North Talk. He was talking about how he disagrees with this because he believes that the Ravens were in the zone. I believe that this applies, and I believe that the Ravens defenders, yes, they did mess up, but I believe that was their false judgment of character for believing that they had the call right. They believed that they chose right in terms of the path that they chose, because of what they saw. Chargers lined up in a formation that ended up being a wide receiver screen, and the Ravens were all over it. Bengals lined up in the same formation. Burrow calls an audible in that same formation, and it looks like it's going to be a wide receiver screen, and we've ran screens out of it before. So a bunch of Baltimore defenders who were on that side end up running towards who would have been the recipient on that wide receiver screen. And Burrow, when he called that audible, it was absolutely insane. Like I love it when he makes hand gestures like the flu or whatever the case may be, or like they'll make like so many different hand gestures. It's so sick, especially when they're talking. Like I love watching when an offense has to make audibles and communicate. It's so cool to see. So Burrow calls an audible, and the ball, CJ Uzomah just sprints straight ahead, and all the Baltimore defenders pretty much run in front of him, like past them, because they assume it's going to be a screen. CJ Uzomah catches the ball. How you doing? Keep it moving. And he is the recipient of his second touchdown. And when that happened, we're like, okay. And we scored every drive the rest of the game from that point out. And it's crazy because that Marquise Brown touchdown was the last time the Ravens scored the rest of the game. That is insane. Just think about that for a second. That Marquise Brown touchdown. The rest of the game, that one drive in the third quarter, the first drive that they had, and they were shut out the rest of the game. We came up with a blueprint to beat Lamar. You keep the ball out of his hands. You get ahead. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, we've known this, but the way we've played deep, and I've talked about this. Yes, last time we played him in Baltimore with Burrow. I don't count last year's game in Cincinnati. Our team was depleted. We were done. The season was over. When we were trying to compete, obviously, and get better as a team with Burrow last year when he was healthy, we held Lamar to 2 rushing yards. And we spied him. We did all the right things. And we made him earn what he earned through the air and not as a runner. The Ravens are so injury depleted right now that Lamar is, and he's good enough to do it, where he's playing out of his mind. He's having an out-of-body experience whenever he plays because he has to go above and beyond his true self to get this team victories. And he does it. He did it against Detroit in that absolutely insane comeback. Like, he has what it takes, and he's a great quarterback. But we came up with the game plan to contain him. You can't stop him. You can only contain him. He had 88 rushing yards, I believe. He was only a 50% completion. He only had a 50% completion percentage against us. He threw for that 1 touchdown, and that was about it. That's how you stop Lamar. If that's all he's gonna have in the day, and they only have 17 points, that is perfect. And this is a team who just absolutely cleaned house in Baltimore. Like, it was in Baltimore against the Chargers, and we had to go in there. And given the Chargers don't play Baltimore, once a year, unless maybe it's the playoffs, like, we have to see them twice a year, so obviously we have to be prepared. But I've been telling everybody this. All the draft picks we've made, all of the signings we have made, it is to handle our division and its run game and its quarterbacks, mainly Lamar, and then we'll be able to score with teams like the Chiefs. Yes, they're in a rut, but teams like the Chiefs when they're playing at their best, which is true. We need to be able to score with teams like that. And the defense has to be able to play against offenses like Baltimore. And when Jamar Chase, I believe he's on 3rd down too, catches that slant and runs towards the middle, and then he spins out of a Humphrey tackle, and I forget who else was trying to tackle him, and just takes it to the house. That was... I just knew it was over right then and there. I knew it was over right then and there. Damn. And it's just, like I said, it's so unfathomable that we have Jamar. Seriously. Like, he's an absolute freak. Just go back, look at the highlights, whatever the case may be. Burrow had that it was a dumb interception that gave the Ravens life. And that was before the Jamar touchdown. We were on our way to score, and Burrow just throws up a pick in the sun. Jamar can't see it, and Marlon Humphrey picks it off, and that was when we were up 10. I'm trying to recall. because I feel like I'm going to have my touchdowns out of order. Doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters to me, but regardless. Yeah, so Lamar, let's talk about our defense. So the offense, all you need to know is the offense had a great day. Eventually, once Lamar didn't convert on that last fourth down, he was pulled from the game. We scored a rushing touchdown with Mixon to absolutely put the coffin nails in this game, which was when we went up 34-17, I believe. And then after that, we got the ball back, and Samaje Perine also had a really good rushing touchdown from like 40 yards, I believe. And that was on a play where Jackson Carman, who we're going to talk about this offensive line, absolutely puts Brandon Williams in the dirt. Brandon Williams is a really good nose tackle. Most of us know we can never really run on. We've never really been able to run super well on Baltimore as of late, obviously. And Brandon Williams is just a stud. They're able to clog up that run game pretty well. You know, they have Josh Bynes. I'm sure he knew some of our play calls and recognized some of our formations. Like, he picked up the QB sneak. We tried to call a QB sneak early in the game, and he sniffed it out. They were able to stop it. Yeah, so the offensive line, man. Jonah Williams, I think, had his worst game of the year, I think. Maybe it's either this game or the Green Bay game, I'd say. Quentin Spain needs to be re-signed. I don't care how old he is. He's 31. We had the same talk with Whitworth. Dude's 40 and he's still playing like a Pro Bowler. We should have never let him go, even though we had Cedric. We just shouldn't have. So Quentin Spain needs to be re-signed. He's playing like an absolute monster. I think he only let up one pressure this game, maybe. No sacks. I don't even know if he's given up. I don't think he's given up a sack all year, honestly. He's an absolute monster. He's playing just like he was back in Tennessee. I love this guy. He's an absolute beast for the O-line. Great for the team. We need to re-sign him now because he keeps playing better and better. And then I don't know if he's going to ask for more money or not, but it's probably looking like how that's going to play out. Trey Hopkins probably had his best game of the season. He only let up one pressure. He allowed no sacks. By the way, Baltimore only had one sack, and that was in like the third quarter. Yeah, it was in like the third or fourth quarter. And that was when we were up by 10 plus, I believe. Or at least 10. And Riley Reef has also been Jackson Carman's getting better and better. And that's all you can ask for your offensive line. I mean, Jonah Williams, like I said, he had a bad game. He'll get better. He's always been better from what he has before. You know, he's looking like the left tackle that we picked with the first pick, regardless. Yeah, so the offensive line, you know, all you need is an average line in this league. Most teams who have the best offensive line in the league don't usually end up winning it all. I mean, maybe you can make a case for Tampa, but they also have, like, the best defense, and they're just an absolutely loaded team. So, yeah, you don't need to have, you know, the Cowboys' stalwart offensive line to pretty much win games or win in this league. As long as you have average. And the offensive line can get better. We can, in the offseason, trade deadline, sure, we can make trades. We can sign players in the offseason, whatever the case may be. The offensive line's getting better. It's definitely a middle-of-the-pack unit, and that's all you can ask for. It's good enough. It's good enough. I also had Pittsburgh. Regardless of if Pittsburgh was injured or not, we broke their sack streak. I don't believe... Detroit sacked us a few times. Regardless, the offensive line's been playing well enough, so shout out to them. T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd they've taken a backseat to Jamar's production, and you know, we've talked about, there's still plenty of time left in the season, but we've talked about having 3,000-yard receivers. I mean, once teams start doubling Jamar, I mean, even then I don't think he'll be stopped because he's just an absolute freak. Even Randy Moss said, I'm in awe. T. Higgins, you know, we're still waiting for his breakout game. Same with Tyler Boyd. I mean, Tyler Boyd's game, I guess you could say, was against Jacksonville. But even then, you know, it's kind of weird because I'm okay with Tyler Boyd only having 50 yards in a game, and on third down is where he has his best production. But he's a safety blanket. I don't think he minds it either, as long as they win. That's what he said. I don't care what my stats are. Just winning solves it all. Winning solves everything, and that's true. So I believe there's going to be days where some people will eat and some people won't, and that's okay. But it's great because you could double Jamar all you want. We'll live with one-on-one with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd all day. You want to go to Higgins? Okay. Good luck with Jamar. You want to double Jamar and Higgins somehow? Good luck guarding Tyler Boyd one-on-one, but one of the best slots. And you want to spread out and guard our passing game? Okay, we'll just run it down your throat with Mixon. We got a top 10 offense. The offense is finally starting to figure it out. We have a top 10 offense playing very well right now, and the defense has just been playing absolutely lights out. Let's talk about the defensive line real quick. Larry Ogunjobi, 1 sack. He had a sack where he held the center in place. He was reading where Lamar would go as the defensive ends caved in the offensive line. Lamar steps up. Ogunjobi sheds the center, sacks Lamar. Sam Hubbard had 2.5 sacks when Lamar was running around scrambling for his life. Lamar wasn't running this game because he wanted to. He had a couple plays where he did, but Lamar was running for the most part because either people weren't open or because he had to do something. He was running for his life, and the O-line was just getting beat. Hubbard had 2.5 sacks, his best game as a pass rusher. The Ravens' right tackle went out with an injury, and as soon as the backup came in, Hubbard just turned on another gear. He was already playing really well against the run. He flipped on another gear, and then Hendrickson had 1.5 sacks. And the more and more he plays, the more and more his contract looks good enough. He's top 5 in the league right now in sacks. He is 6.5 right now. I believe he's projected to get at least 15 on the year, if I'm correct on that. So the D-line has been balling, and I think it all starts with DJ Reader, if I'm being honest. Hubbard, Hendrickson, Ogunjobi, all great. They're all flashy players and all, and we need to re-sign Ogunjobi. Reader is playing like an all-pro nose tackle. He's arguably, if not the best nose tackle in the league. He might not get the stats, but teams literally cannot run the ball. We've held I believe every running back we've gone against, we've held in check. Baltimore's running backs didn't do anything. Lamar had to be their running back this game. Le'Veon Bell, we washed him and Freeman. Obviously, Freeman had the touchdown, but that was only like a 2-yard run, like right in the goal line. DJ Reader is causing and wrecking havoc for offensive lines. He is commanding double teams because he is so strong at the point of attack, and he makes running backs have to make a cut or make a double move that is allowing our defensive ends and linebackers to just move up. People always used to, come at our linebackers and say how bad they were, is because the defensive line is bad. The defensive line needs to keep the offensive linemen from blocking them. They're pretty much our quarterbacks of the defense. You gotta let them do their thing and free roam and know where they want to go and not have to deal with getting touched by offensive linemen and moving to the second level. If your defensive line is strong enough, you don't have to worry about that whatsoever. The play will be dead right there. A 3-yard gain, 2-yard gain, no gain. So hats off to the defensive line. They sacked Lamar the most times he's ever been sacked in his career, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. And yeah, so Hubbard also batted a ball, and we talked about this. You can't zero Joe. So Burrow handled the pressure well, handled the blitz well, made adjustments. We know we could play with Baltimore. We know we could play with Pittsburgh. And if you ask me, Cleveland was clearly his favorite team to go against last year, and they're dealing with a ton of injuries. Baker Schmaker, Case Keenum, Case Beenum, I don't care who they have. We're going to beat them at least once. I don't know the last time we've swept the division, if that's ever been the case, but you look at our schedule, folks, whether you're a Bengals fan or not, and you tell me how that schedule is looking now. I think this team can make the playoffs. I think this team will make the playoffs, as a matter of fact. I think this team might arguably is the best in the North. It's still possibly Baltimore. It's not Cleveland right now, given the injuries they have. But even then, I'd love to see their talent with ours, compared to ours. Regardless, we're definitely one of the best teams in the AFC, top 5 in the AFC. Right now, we're the number 1 seed in the AFC. I can't make any guarantees that that'll last or stick, but there's something to that. Most 5-2 teams, if you start off 5-2, I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers started off 5-2 last year and won the Super Bowl. I'm not here to make any claims. We haven't won a playoff game in 30 years, but there's lots of reason to be optimistic here. Lots of reasons to be optimistic as a Bengals fan. It is a great time to be a Bengals fan. Let the media talk about us all they want now. But you know what? Remember, we were here before all this hype from them. They were the ones saying, Cincinnati's where QBs go to die. Even though, no disrespect to Miami, they haven't had a successor since Dan Marino, which was like the freaking 90s. So, you tell me where QBs go to die. All due respect. That's just one example I could think of. We've had guys like Boomer, former MVP, the 2 MVPs, Boomer, Ken Anderson, who should be in the Hall of Fame, Andy Dalton, Carson Palmer, Joe Burrow. That is a beautiful list of 5 quarterbacks to have. Plain and simple. No doubt about it. Cincinnati is not where QBs go to die. I know my team is a winner, not a loser. It's a great day it's a good day to have a great day. And that's going to do it for the Into the Bengal-Verse podcast. I will be here later this week to give a preview of the Jets game, which we should be very confident that is a win, but obviously we have to break it down, give a little deep dive into that. So yeah, once again, you can find me on Twitter at Bengal-Verse. You can find my Instagram at Into the Bengal-Verse. Like and subscribe. Support's appreciated. I appreciate the support. And yeah, everyone have a great day, a blessed day, and a hoo day. So I'll see you later, folks.